Good morning and welcome. My name is Hendrik Müller. I'm the product manager for the configuration and security analysis, and with me is Patrick Garibi from our customer EVN, and we will do this session together. And it's a real pleasure for me that we can start this session with announcing that last week on Wednesday we gave you a glimpse by releasing to customer the first version of a validation in Cloud ALM. Earlier this year, I announced our plans. So last week, we delivered a validation with first checks, just samples of its security baseline template and some cloud security recommendations, and you can now check it in our demo tenant or in your own tenant and play around with it. The CSA use case used to be a self-service that allows you to compare how a configuration should be with how it is actually in your landscape on a very generic level. And you can use it for security or for other configurations that affect daily operations, for example. But the main use case is for security, for reducing the security posture of your landscape, for ensuring audit requirements are met, or for ensuring that progress of certain security products is as expected. We learned from our customer engagement initiative that there is an increasing and strong demand to provide more guidance in terms of content and recommendation. So this is part of our vision. And of course, the journey to an AI-assisted configuration and security analysis that becomes more and more autonomous also is, of course, also part of what we will be doing. Where are we today? So even though we have not so much functionality, so far we see we are interested to customers, but we also see that for some of the cloud services where we really want to have a good traction, we have quite poor numbers, right? So quite some time ago, I negotiated with the Cloud Identity Services colleagues to get the data that I want for you. And that was quite extensive, I would say. And in January, we will have the next round, how to iterate it. And of course, whoever is starting to use it will help me to get more of the data for you. Similar for DataSphere, there we started just this year to have the first data. We are also in contact to extending this data so that it delivers even better to your needs. And last but not least, for the S/4HANA private cloud, for the RISE systems, maybe if you have the same requirements as in your on-premise environment, then you may continue with the same monitoring scope and configuration analysis. When you decide you can reduce the amount of control, then also there it would be interesting to learn your insight. And I can only invite everyone who is here in the room to provide feedback and reach out to me personally so that we can move here also forward. Yeah, with this, I'm very happy that I can hand over to Patrick, basically explaining how they plan to use the CSA in the Cloud ALM. And yeah, he was part of our customer engagement initiative right from the beginning. So since April, we met on a daily basis, not daily basis, on a weekly basis with customer calls until end of July. And we will start in November again. And everything that you see in this session is also done in close collaboration with the group of customers involving there.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Garibi. I am part of the SAP Basis team at customer EVN, and to my background, yeah, I'm at EVN for almost 6 years in the Basis team. And before that, I was working at SAP in different areas like product support and and also in solution manager consulting, and I helped at that time customers to implement monitoring scenarios and also configuration validation functionalities. About EVN, it's a energy and environmental service provider from Austria. The headquarters is in Lower Austria in Maria Enzersdorf. EVN has about 8,000 employees and about 4.9 million customers, and is listed at Vienna Stock Exchange. Overall, EVN is active in about 14 countries and covers also areas like drinking water supply and wastewater treatment, but the core energy business is handled in 6 countries, yeah? And these are areas like electricity, gas, network, and heat supply. To our SAP, about our SAP landscape, to be honest with you, at that time when I started at EVN, the SAP landscape itself was completely on-premise. Yeah? And during the recent years, we acquired a lot of cloud products like Concur, SuccessFactors, then we have EIS, IPS, so cloud identity services. We have cloud ALM and integration suite, for example. So let's say SAP made us also happy with these cloud products, but we have also a lot of on-premise systems at the moment. Yeah, we have about 70 to 75 on-premise systems. Yeah, a couple weeks ago we went live with S4HANA in Austria, and 2 years ago the Bulgarian and Macedonian SAP systems went also live with S4HANA. So what we or how do we use configuration validation in Solution Manager at the moment or until now? We use it for general security baseline template check validations, yeah, but also for kernel validation. For example, if a security node is released and it's dependent on a certain kernel version, then we use config reports, yeah, to find out which systems are affected. We have also created some custom reports for ourselves, like the RFC DES store report. With this report, we are able to adapt or clean up RFC destinations after, for example, hardware migration or once a system is decommissioned. Yeah? So in the past we had some hardware migrations, and as a consequence, for example, the host name and the IP were changed, and with the help of this report we could find out the RFC destination in all our landscape systems which are affected, yeah, by this change. So it was a really practical also use case for us. At EVN, we have to ensure, we have to prevent unexpected, unpermitted system changes or client changes. For this purpose, we have also created custom metrics based on configuration validation to monitor all the changes related to clients and system settings, especially for quality assurance and production systems. And we get an alert once there is a change. So this is one requirement that we have, and the second requirement is also from baseline template. that we safeguard standard SAP ABAP standard users like DEDIC or Substar. So the Substar has to be, I think you're already aware with this, yeah, requirements or specifications from baseline, and this was also one requirement. We addressed during our participation in the customer engagement initiative to SAP, to Hendrik, yeah, later on I will show you what's there in Cloud ALM concerning also these requirements. At this point, I would like also to mention that beside this parameter login automatic user Substar, there is also another parameter which might be interesting for you, especially for systems with kernel version 790 and above. Yeah. There is another parameter, and with this parameter you can enable or disable the creation of a virtual Substar user via OS commands or OS access. Yeah. For the OS access itself, the SID ADM user is needed, yeah, and you use dpmon to activate the virtual Substar user. So if you have a strict policy, then please take a look at the note on this slide, which is mentioned here on this slide, and there you will find this additional parameter. And actually, this parameter might also be considered later on, yeah, in Cloud ALM for validation. So these are the slides now, but I think we would like to change to demo.
So we are ready for the demo?
We are ready for the demo. Okay, perfect. It's working. So the first change, you might recognize it, that we have an additional tile here for CSA scenario. It's called validation, so this is new. But you can also access this validation area from the tile which you are already maybe aware of, which is existing already for a long time. It's called data store. So you have two accesses. It has a technical background, yeah, but I think later on, Hendrik will also mention it should be one application then, yeah, for CSA itself. So let's take a look at it. Okay, here on the top we see number of systems or services categorized by rating, by the role category like production, non-production, by data quality status, and by compliance status. So I can also use these bar charts here for filter purpose. So if I click here on production, I see my productive services and systems. For this demo, I have connected our solution manager system to our Cloud ALM tenant, as this system is at EVN also used for CUA and has multiple clients set up, and therefore it makes it more suitable, the system, for the demo. So we see here below the system ID, the compliance distribution, so 6 out of 30 checks are non-compliant at this moment. We have a compliance percentage, 80%, and the data quality itself, and also the rating. So now let's take a more detailed look at it. Okay, what we see here is basically the results of of the checks which are available in Cloud ALM and which are, let's say, activated by default in CSA scenario. Yeah, at the moment, these are the checks related to production, system settings, yeah, client settings, system settings, and the standard users. And for example, we can take a look here. We can check the for SCC4. And we see here that we are compliant for all the connected clients. So I have the productive client and also the CUA clients here. And the system settings currently are according to the baseline specification. Regarding data collection, I have to say currently it's a snapshot on a daily basis. We see also history logs, so what has been changed last day, and this is here. And actually this is an interesting case, because we see a critical status here, but if I take a look at the value, we see actually it meets the requirements from baseline template. So for the client copy production, I can use level 1 or level 2. This is how it is specified in the baseline template. But as it's a change compared to the value from the last day, before yesterday, it's categorized at critical. So I would also invite you to maybe talk or bring your ideas regarding this and talk with Henrik about it. What are your feelings about it, and is it meaningful for you or not? Yeah. But basically, let's say if I set the system settings according to baseline template, and it stays so and nothing is changed, then it's fine. And if something is changed, it's critical, of course, because it doesn't fulfill the requirements anymore. Also another difference here is that we see a check result for every single item of a certain category, like system settings, protection for production systems. And this is, I would say, I think it's an advantage if you compare to configuration validation. We had to execute the report and make a drill down with via context menu to see what is really causing a red rating for my overall check. But here we can see which client is affected and what is causing a red rating. On the other hand, I think it's also planned. Hendrik will tell about it, that later on I will also have a consolidated check result for the different check categories. So we can also search for the system settings, so the global change settings, and we see we are here compliant at SA4. The value is not modifiable, which is fine, and we don't have any change here compared to yesterday. Therefore, we see the value configuration item not found, and it's fine. Then let's switch to substar users. Also, again, we see here the results in different clients, and actually the user is, for example, here in this case is existing in all clients, which is fine, and we can see if must be logged. We can verify if the user is logged, which is also the case. The substar user has the value logged in all clients. So what is at the moment, but it's interesting now, what is causing a critical status here? You see, most of it belongs to the check name user substar must belong to group super. This is defined in the baseline template, but our policy differs a little bit in this area because we permit only certain users to be able to log on via GUI with username and password. We have single sign-on enabled in our landscape, and in general, it's not permitted. And users which are in this exception list and can or are allowed to log on via passwords, they have a certain and another user group assigned to their username. Yeah, so this check is not relevant at the moment for us. And what we can do, if you have a similar situation, yeah, at your company, you can do some configuration here and reduce also the red ratings. So you go one step back and switch to the configuration area. And here I would like to change this for my solutions manager landscape. I click on this arrow, and so this is then I have to search for its second one. No, where is it? I think, yeah, I can search for super. Then I should find it. Yeah. User substar must belong to group super, so I don't need it, and I can deactivate it. And if I go back again to the validation area, I see I have a less amount of non-compliance. So the compliance rating is also increased here by this check. So you see, you have also some configuration option and flexibility in Cloud ALM related to your checks if something doesn't really meet your company policy. So that was the demo, and now I would like to switch back to the presentation and hand over to Hendrik.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We put a bit screenshots in the slide set for those who just read and don't attend today. What I want to cover is how we address the cloud world, right? So you know there's security recommendations published in the help portal. We know we have only a small set of services already reporting to us, but this will continue this program to onboard and additional services. But let me explain our approach, right? So last week, you got for the critical recommendations for the identity services, dedicated checks, and you see them here, how they would look like in the system, similar to what we have in Substar user or change options, and you can activate or deactivate them depending on the relevance for you. We also created a generic check, which is just looking for which configuration is a recommendation or pre-validated data sent to the Cloud ALM, and then you just get a list of the status of those recommendations that is then covering everything essentially, but not with the possibility to switch on or switch off certain checks. We are working closely with the colleagues from the BTP in particular, so that when they provide recommendations, we are also able to demonstrate this on our side and complement this with SAP data. And maybe one other area that is of very much important is around certificates. So for the custom domain service, we already get the certificate information, and then you're able to analyze there or get the information about expiration or about other properties of the certificate from our configuration data. So what's the outlook? How will we move on? So what you have seen today deserves some improvements, so the colleagues are working on it. So one area that is very important to me is this topic of data quality. On the validation screen, you should see how many checks and items are really affected by missing data or outdated data. So the colleagues are working on that feature. And there's a couple of other things, and on the 5th of November, we will have the next session in our customer engagement initiative to discuss further feedback in that round. Then we are extending the home screen where you have one tile for each system and service so that it consumes already also the data from our validation. So the pre-configured stuff that you have seen. And we will integrate with the event management so that you can produce alerts and notifications out of these validation results for each check separately. We wanted to do it this year. We have to move it to probably end of January, beginning February, but it will come very soon. On the content side, the first step is to cover the security baseline template and the security recommendations to the extent possible, and we limit this a bit to the critical and the recommended or standard options, so everything that is considered advanced or extended, we say this, we keep out of scope to limit our efforts there a bit. Because at the end, our goal is that creating new checks should be as easy that everyone can do it, and then there should not be a big hurdle to go beyond the initially provided content. After Q1, of course, custom checks and the ability to report a tailored reporting, context-sensitive, maybe to different purposes, is the first thing to do. And on the content perspective, we will then also extend, of course, beyond what we have here, right? So trying to put this into a kind of envisioned roadmap to how do we get ready for leaving Solution Manager behind. It may look like this. Of course, this requires then iteration with my colleagues in development, also with the customers in our customer engagement initiative. But if you would ask me, how is my envisioned roadmap, then this is the topics and the order that I would see at this stage. And of course, expert guidance will not be available in Q4, and not everything will be completed here, that is here on this table. But let's say check authoring would be the next step. I think we saw this morning custom dashboards is something that is very prominent also, and making good progress, and of course also relevant for security. And migrating content from Solution Manager will be also an important topic later on. Let me close with a call to action, which is also like a summary, right? So we really want you to start using the Cloud ALM CSA for your cloud solutions, in particular for the cloud identity services, for DataSphere. SuccessFactors is going to come very soon with first content and further BTP services. So when you have a need, please come back to us and discuss it with us, because this helps us and also in the discussion with development. And in particular, if you not just provide feedback, but when you have a use case where you say, yes, I'm already doing something. For the replacing Solution Manager, same ask basically. Here we feel we have a good idea of what needs to be done, but the CEI is basically still open. You just need to send me an email. You need your customer number. I need to check about feedback agreement and so on, and get the names of the participants from your customer number. And then you're still invited to help us prioritizing, so we really do the right things in the next year to be ready. Yeah, with this, I'm, I think, just in time. 18 seconds for questions. No, we will stay here outside and So hopefully you enjoyed it. Then you have 10 seconds for applause.
Yeah, thank you.